Welcome back to part two of our eye-opening series on aging. I am your host, Dr. Sheila Hodgman-Dover, and I'm extremely grateful that you have joined us for this important conversation. In part one, we began debunking some of the dangerous myths surrounding aging, and today we're going even deeper. And who better to guide us than our incredible guests? First, we are especially blessed to welcome our special guest, my dear friend Teresa Duncan, whose 91 years of lived experience bring profound wisdom to this conversation. Teresa, your vibrant spirit is living proof that aging isn't about decline, but about continuing to grow, contribute, and find joy at every stage. We are also honored to be joined again by the Mental Health Avengers, our team of brilliant experts who can share cutting edge insights on maintaining cognitive, emotional, and spiritual health as we age. Get ready for an enlightening discussion that will change how you think about growing older. I'm extremely honored that you guys have taken the time out of your busy schedule to meet with us again today to discuss part two of aging and mental health. Mental health is very important. But before we go any further, I would like both of you to please take a moment to introduce yourself again while we wait for our special guest to come in. So, can both of you take a few moments to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Shanti. I'm a neuromodulation therapist and LPC, and, and I currently am licensed in Oklahoma and Texas.
Hi, my name is Marita, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm licensed in the state of Oklahoma.
So, to explore aging and mental health, we will use the Spices plus F framework. We'll be examining spirituality, physical health, intellectual health, creativity, emotional, social, as well as financial. So, spiritual resilience in the face of loss, physical vitality beyond prescriptions, intellectual engagement against cognitive decline, creativity as medicine, how art, music, and innovation helps us focus, emotional ecosystems such as grief, joy, and everything between, social relationship in later lives, and financial security as a form of liberation. So let's start with spiritual well-being. How do you think spirituality or a sense of purpose influence mental health in older adults?
I think many times you see older people who are, let's say, religious, they will dive more into the church. They'll do more like deacon board, spending time doing the choir, going to church more days, Christianity speaking, obviously. And I believe that I've heard them say that it gives them more of a sense of purpose, especially with the end coming more soon than not. So, giving them more of a comfort as to what's next.
For sharing, Shanti, maybe what do you think?
I think when it comes to that question, I'm thinking about hope. I think spirituality gives them a sense of hope. I know a lot of times when people get older, they start to withdraw. They feel that society does not have anything for them anymore. And so I think it gives them, a sense of hope and a sense of purpose, to know that they have something that, they can more say call their own, or more say that they can carry with them wherever they go.
Yes, I'm going to play the devil's advocate now. So, are you saying that people who don't believe in spirituality or religion would not have any sense of hope as they age and as they become an elder?
Not necessarily. I mean, when you think about it, if you were to look at, for instance, Alcoholic Anonymous, right? A lot of people are not believers. They don't believe in God. And so they believe in a higher being. They believe in something. So I think just a belief in anything, whatever that may be for any person, I think that can give them hope. The belief in that my life will be different than it is today, tomorrow. That's a reason for hope.
Okay. Shanti, how about you? What do you think?
I think hope can be given based on what you have seen on a day or the things that you haven't seen. And that's where the hope comes in that things could be better. So the hope that, let's say, things aren't going well for them, maybe terminal illness or just don't have a very good support system, maybe the hope that one day that will change.
Makes sense. Okay, so now let's talk about the body. Physical health and mental health are deeply intertwined, especially as we age. What causes mobility to decline?
You said mobility to decline?
Yes, what causes the mobility to decline?
The body not working as well as it used to.
And is that something we could prevent as people age? Is that something that can prevent from happening?
Yes and no. Bodies are going to have limitations with each stage of life. Like a baby can't run a sprint, just like older people actually can sometimes. But our bodies are designed to be able to do different things at different ages. However, with exercise, determination, stretching, that can be delayed but not stopped.
Okay. Marita, do you think it can be stopped? Is Shanti correct? It can be delayed but not stopped?
I think so, but also too, I think it depends on the person and their mindset. Because, there's some people as they get older, they tend to get, afraid, of a lot of things, like afraid of falling. And so what do? They don't move around a lot, and that can hinder, their mobility. So I think, like Shanti said, and also too, like I said, it could be their mindset. Because I've heard of people like in their 90s, like running marathon. I can't even run a marathon.
I know, I've seen that. I've seen that many times. I'm feeling jealous. I wish I could.
Right,
Okay,
and
so
I couldn't do it.
yeah. Okay, so the Bible says there's a time to heal and time for, so we all know there's time for staying physically active is key to aging. But aging also demands adapting to change. What habits or routine have helped elderly people to remain physically fit?
Some habits I've seen are maybe they have a group of them that take walks on a regular basis. Just any kind of activity that gets them not necessarily outside, but outside can help with that motivation. Some people will go to the pool and get their exercise that way. Just groups of people that can do it with them
That's
can help.
true. Some people say that they've been told to remain inside because when they walk too much, they will experience too much pain. And so some people have been given advice to not become physically fit. I've heard a few people say that. And to me, that doesn't make much sense to me. But I don't know if you've ever heard anyone say anything similar.
Depending on their physical limitations. So, like if they have arthritis, there may be different things that they can or can't do, depending on where the arthritis is in their body as well. Different terminal illnesses, not even just terminal, different illnesses affect different parts of the body, which may prevent them from being able to walk and move the way that other people who don't have those have.
In other words, everybody doesn't have the same experience. So some people would be able to be physically active more than some. But the truth is remaining physically active At some point is very important. You can't just give up on being physically active. Otherwise, my mom used to say, use it or lose it. Have you ever heard that?
Yes.
Yep, use it or lose it. Okay, so let's move on to the intellectual side of life now. Let us now focus on the intellectual dimensions. We have heard the saying, use it or lose it. So it doesn't apply just to the physical side of life, it also applies to the brain. How can we keep aging minds active? How can we help the elderly keep their aging mind active, especially when they're isolated or, dementia enters the picture? How can we keep the aging mind active?
Some ways can be crossword puzzles, word searches, Tetris. Actually, saw a study. I know this doesn't necessarily have to do with aging, but if you, and I don't know how great this study is, but if you do Tetris shortly after a traumatic event, then it doesn't store in your brain the same way. So keeping the mind active, and it can be really fun with different kinds of games. It doesn't have to be, oh, I have to go study a book.
I
And
heard of a lot of older people like watching like TikTok videos and stuff like that. And I guess it helps to stimulate their minds when you think about it, you know.
Depends
And
on what they're
it depends on what they're watching, yeah. And yeah, because not everything on TikTok is good. And I know a lot of older people who like to do those puzzles, those puzzles that you put together. They come in those boxes and they will have beautiful pictures on them. I don't know how people could do that because I have tried and I just couldn't. But a lot of times they do that, to keep their mind stimulated and to help them, stay focused. A lot of times they play games on their phones, because that helps their mind to keep active, So there's
another
a
thing,
lot of ways that you can engage them, yeah.
that's true. Something I think of is that asking them questions about the early years in life and the experiences helps a lot. It keeps the brain, helps send fireworks in their brains and bring back excitement and joy. Just ask them to remember exciting times that they experience, especially if you know their life story. Even if you've heard it 100 times, ask them question about it because they get excited. And that, for them, they don't mind telling the same story over and over.
That's true. Because you'd be like, I heard that 1,000,001 time, but you never say that to them. But
Yes. One of the things I used to do with my mom every Sunday when she was alive, I would ask her to tell me when she was born, even though I knew when she was born. I would ask her to tell me how many kids she has, when they were born, and ask her a lot of things about her childhood days, even though I knew it already. And she would get excited. But the most important thing that excited her most was when I asked her things about the Bible, because she was a walking little Bible. She knew the Bible. She knew the Bible inside out. So I would ask her things about the Bible, and she memorized a lot of Bible verses. So I would ask her to repeat like Psalms 23 and some of the other Psalms, and her brain will just go excited, just asking her to remember those things that she remembered, she recorded in her memory from small days. Is there anything you have ever experienced that when you ask an elderly person that they got excited and help?
not necessarily asked, but anytime they share a story and you give them undivided attention, they're just happy to share. And you don't cut them off. You don't try to shorten the story. You don't look irritated or like you have something else to do. If you just give them full undivided attention, they're super happy to share.
That is true.
I used to like when my grandmother was alive, I used to like hearing the stories that she would tell about us when we were younger that I don't remember. And there was this funny one that she gave about my brother that I would not repeat. But those were just funny, just listening to her. Yeah, older people are, I think, like they have a wealth of information, and it's important, I feel like, to document that somewhere, because it's almost as if like you're merging like two different worlds, like our world and their world. And think about it now, we're merging with another set. What do they call them? Like the Gen Zs, I think. It's so different, all the different worlds merging. So, yeah.
I suggest we dive into the creative side of life now. I know it would have been more creative if we had our guest who was supposed to be here today, but unfortunately, she had a death in the family, and so she will not be here today. Our 91-year-old friend, Teresa Duncan, was supposed to be our distinguished guest today. So, even though she's not here, we're going to continue talking about the creative side of life. I would suggest so, creativity isn't just for artists, it's a lifeline for mental health. Yes, it's often overlooked in elderly care. Let's change that. What creative outlets can caregivers introduce to spark joy in elderly with limited mobility?
Well, like Marita mentioned, jigsaw puzzles. Like you don't have to have too much mobility to be able to do it. You have to do a lot of thinking, but not too much mobility. Um, Watching different things on TV or on your phone. That's a lot of different creative ways.
Music comes to my mind when I think of that question, music.
Definitely.
I'm thinking about who is it? I think my youngest, I think it's my youngest brother. Um, by father's side, his grandmother used to make baskets and hats out of the coconut, the coconut tree, those their branches, those long stems. And she couldn't really walk that much, and she just used to sit in her chair and just make those things, and it always fascinated me. I tried to do it, but unfortunately there's just certain things I'm not good at. But the things that she made were just out of this world. Yeah, so sometimes they might not be able to move as fast as we want them to move, but they still have their hands that they can do things with. Yeah. And I'm also reminded of this woman at the market. I don't remember her name, but she always used to say, I didn't go to high school. Like she just had a basic elementary schooling, but she could count. You give her any amount of money and she could tell you exactly what the change was going to be while you had to pull out your calculator. So because
Yes.
they're not mobile, it doesn't mean that they can't use their brains or they can't use their hands.
Mhm. I know my aunt, as well as my mom, but I had two aunts who just passed away last year, Auntie Marian in Schooners. She used to make baskets from everything. Any empty bottle, empty container, she would make baskets from them. I mean, think of art and craft, you name it, they could do it. It's anything that would have been considered junk can be turned into a craft when it came to my aunt. And they knew how to sew, they knew how to make clothes, make ornaments, toys.
Yeah.
I mean, every junk could be turned into something valuable. They knew how to do it. And she was in her 80s, 90s, and still know how to make stuff with her hands.
Mhm. Like my grandmother, she was 93 when she passed a few years ago, and she wore no glasses whatsoever, which is so interesting because most of her children now wear glasses. And she could sew, thread a needle. So my mother used to go and ask her to thread the needle for her, but she was pretty good at that, and she just used to thread it in, so.
Yep. It's sad that this new generation, when we come in this generation in their time come to be sitting at home and not have the ability to be mobile, I don't know if there's going to be enough creative things to do because this modern generation is just strictly into technology and internet and
Yeah.
computer. Virtual world. I
And
think
technology.
they will have to be in a virtual world instead of making things with their hands.
Well, I
Yeah. And
a lot of younger kids like making bracelets. They like doing crafts like that.
mhm.
Oh
I
yes,
know
I've
my daughter
seen.
have some clients that love to sew, that love to do patchwork, quilt, crochet. So it's not all lost yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know that we still have a remnant who is holding on to the art and craft days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very
No,
important.
I back at home too. I could be wrong. I know some things are passed down in the schools, like the elementary schools and stuff like that. So hopefully that could continue because I've seen people back at home make things out of bottles, like broken bottles. You break a bottle, a glass bottle, and they make earrings, they make necklaces and stuff like that. So hopefully those things,
And
are
then
passed
coconut,
down and some.
yeah, as well as like coconut, the coconut shell, they would make baskets
Yeah.
and ornaments and
Mhm.
animals out of those things.
Doves. They like one time I went to a thrift store and I actually had to be a Caribbean person donated it. It was the coconut husk and the bowl. They had two doves. I don't know if you remember, everyone used to have them in their house. Two doves,
Yes,
and then the coconut was open where you can drop things. And I was like, it
yes.
had to be a Caribbean person. That brought me back to childhood, the things that used to be made when I was younger. Like my mother, I remember her used to make during the Christmas season, they used to take army men and make parachutes, you know, and then we used to go over to the park and they used to throw them down this hill and see the parachutes flying. I mean, I never learned to do those things, make things
Uh-huh.
out of pantyhose, like flowers out of pantyhose.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I
so
used
many,
I
so
made
many
those.
different things. Yeah.
My sister used to make those. I learned those from her. You get the wire and you put it inside the pantyhose and well, they would color the pantyhose and give it different
Yeah.
colors, different colors. Yes, I
Mhm.
remember those. So there's a lot of
And
art
those
and
things are
craft
passed
that,
down. Yeah.
yeah, but a lot of them seem like they're not going to be passing down after a certain period of time because I firmly believe that about half of the new generation are just into technology.
Mhm.
Ex-
Yeah.
Half. It seems like half of them are just into technology. They're not into the hands-on learning arts and craft. But I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, let's focus on the fight, flight, or freeze response. In the context of caregiving for elderly loved ones, how might a caregiver be creative and discern when to stand firm, when to fight, when to step back and flight, or pause and reflect in challenging situations? So could you provide an example of when each response, fight, flight, or freeze response, might be appropriate when you're caring for an elderly?
Well, fight advocacy, um, like if something's wrong with them physically and maybe the doctors aren't listening or they keep telling you about a certain complaint, but nothing's being done, you have to advocate for them with their doctors.
Teresa just logged on. Teresa is here. Oh my goodness. Guess what? Teresa is logging on, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, Shanti.
You're
I'm
good.
so excited. I am so excited that Teresa is logging on. Let me pause a moment.
It is fine. So,
Okay. So today we have a guest here, Teresa Duncan. I first met Teresa at university during one of my many fashion shows, and when she told me her age, I did not believe her. you know. But then I came to learn that it was actually true. And at that time, she was 72 years old. And that was a very long time ago. I won't age myself, but I'm sure people will figure it out. And one of the things I love about Teresa is how she was so passionate and just loved fashion and just wanted to be involved in everything at the university. You know, some kids, the younger kids would shy away. She would not. So I'm really happy that she is here with us, you know, today to talk about the topic and to, you know, just give us some feedback on how aging has been for her. And hopefully, you know, everyone can take something from it. Yeah.
So, Tanisha,
Okay,
I'm extremely happy you made it. I'm extremely happy you made it today. And my big first question is, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Just running a little late because I had a hard time getting on.
Oh, okay, okay, I understand. But you're looking as young as ever. Who would believe you're 91 years old?
Well, I think I do, and my family does.
Well, you
Yeah,
still look like,
God has truly been good to me. I am so grateful, that I can still do things that a lot of people younger than I, some my age, that's not able to do. I still drive. I still do everything for myself. I drive my grown children around, where we need to go. Uh, and I'm just grateful, it's a blessing. And I feel that God gave us some good genes. In fact, all of us, really.
well, during our first part of the session a few weeks ago, I told them I visited you and you offered to give me a pair of shoes with high heels, your shoes, and I told you I do not know how to walk in those in high heels. And you could not believe I could not walk in high heels.
I could not believe that because I started wearing my mother's heels when I was about maybe 12 years old. When she would go to work and when I got home from school, I was sneaking her shoes. So
And
I
I
have
was
been
shocked
wearing,
to see you. Sorry, I was shocked to see you in those high heels. You went to church in high heels.
yes, I did. I do. I still wear heels. I'm coming down a little bit, but I used to wear the stilettos and all those. I have a closet full. Yes.
I'm so impressed with you. Okay, so my first question, we're talking about this spirituality. Ecclesiastes reminds us that there's a time and a place for everything under the sun. How has your
Yes.
relationship with God evolved over the years? Or has there been moments when you felt like giving up?
No, it hasn't. I haven't really had that type of moment where I wanted to give up, but sometimes it just makes you seem like, um, why are these things keep happening? But the way that I stay strong is that at 7, I became a Christian. I went before the church and I told him I wanted to be like the man that he preached about, which was Jesus Christ. And I've carried it all my life, So anytime things would get rough, even spiritual, I would go to my Bible and I pray. And sometimes I have stopped and maybe not go to church because I said, Lord, I just don't feel right. But it's just the only way you can make it is really read your Bible, keep praying. Times are going to be hard because God says that. Nothing is perfect and nothing is always going to be good. You're going to always have issues in life, but we can make it better by trusting in Him and being obedient. And I've had ups and downs. I mean, no, I've been through a lot. I mean, truly, a woman my age, I'm truly blessed because when you go through 2 accidents and you just had one in 23 and you had a concussion, you lost your function and everything, your mind kept blinking out. Then I ended up with cancer, not knowing that I had it, but I felt that I had it. And with my spiritual and people who knew me and prayed and gave me scriptures. I read my Bible, and I knew already that when they did go in there, it would already be taken care of. So I came out cancer free, and I'm blessed because I didn't have to have um, any treatments at all. So believing in God, trusting Him. Sometimes we wonder, we know He's here, but why is all these things still happening? Why is it that people don't want to change? And why you have to keep having these feelings, you know? And when I started real young at 18. I was a wife, and then I was a mother, and I was in an abusive marriage. And the only way I could have made it through all that, just trusting in God, going to church, working in the church, reading my Bible, and praying. And that's how I've done it. I'm still doing it because we're going through something right now. Now,
Saying you had cancer, but you were healed. Is that what you're saying?
I was already healed when I got in there because when they went in there, they caught it. It was like maybe stage 1. So all they did was it was at the bottom, and they cut foot off. And after I left the hospital, I was in the hospital 5 days. Came home, my daughters, they took care of me. And then last year, 2000, this is 23, this is 25, 24. 2024, I celebrated my 90th birthday in Oklahoma City. And that's the reason I said I'm truly blessed because I have so many friends that still in treatment and some didn't make it.
That's true. So, what is your recipe? What are your keys for being so physically fit and physically energized and so positive? What is it? What are your keys?
Well, the thing is, I never ate a lot of fried foods. I always try to eat vegetables, fruits. I did a lot of exercise. I modeled. I did dancing classes. My children kept me young also because had something to look forward to. And I've always been busy in the school system, working with the children in the school and just being busy and exercising and eating right. Right now, I need to tell that to myself. I have something going on with me because I'm not eating the way I'm supposed to. But the main key is eating right, exercising, and reading. Sit down and read. Just exercise your brain and just have a time, your own time, your space time, and travel. And I just have done a lot that kept me energetic.
Who got you so interested in the intellectual side of life? Who motivated you, or what motivated you?
Um, I had this gym teacher, and she taught me a lot. She taught me the way of life. She taught me things that I did not know. My mother was never there. She always had to work, and I had to live with someone else. So I learned fast how to grow up to be a young woman. I learned fast how to protect myself. Also learned how to be able to, if anything happened, I can do it. And I always said, it's a verse I always say, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. And that's something that is actually true. We may not think that we can do it, we can. It's a struggle sometimes, but that's what has kept me, is using my mind and saying in my mind, I can do it. I can do it. And I can do it. And that's the way I feel today.
I'm so proud of you. Just listening to you is so refreshing, just hearing you speak. You do not sound as if you have aged since I met you. I met Teresa when we were attending Cameron University during our master's program. She was 71 years old. And when she told me her age, I could not believe it. I still can't believe your age today, but I know it has to be true because, I mean, it's been many, many years since we graduated from Cameron, right?
Yes, it has.
And she was very sharp. She enjoyed learning. She didn't, she was a graduate student, the oldest graduate student when I attended Cameron University. And she was the sharp lady in the class. There was never any time when she didn't look interested in the topic.
I was. I wanted to learn. I really did. Because when I worked on my bachelor's at Cameron University, I didn't know what I was doing. I just went to college and I ended up with a 2.4. And when I went back, I was on probation and I knew that I was. And then the first test that I had during my master's, I ended up with a 4.0. And the teacher called me in the office. She said, "Do you know you're on honor roll?" I said, "Really?" And they took me off of the probation list. So I stayed
Wonderful.
on, huh? What'd you
Wonderful.
say?
I said, that's wonderful.
Yes. So I don't know. I just did it. I knew I could do it, but it's always hard. No, it's hard. We do struggle. And in life, we have downfalls that makes you think that it's not going to work. And like I told one of my granddaughters who just went to college yesterday, I told her never let anyone tell her that she can't, because you can always do it. You can always do things through Christ, which strengthen you. And that's one of my main verses out of the Bible. And I know that God is love, and I know He loves us more than we do ourselves. And I know He died on the cross for us, for our sins. And this is what keeps me strong. And then my family, my girls, when I came down with cancer, there's one daughter I just knew that she'd never do anything for me. And she stepped up, and she's still stepping up. So when you train up a child in the way of the Lord, they will do the right thing in life. Some may not, some may say, some may not, but yet still, when you know that you did your best in training your child doing right, and they treated me like I was a queen, and I didn't expect that. I really didn't.
It's wonderful. I will let Shanti and Marita ask questions.
Hmm?
I'm going to pause for a minute and let Shanti and Marita ask you a question.
Okay, okay.
Shanti, do you want to go?
I don't have a question.
Yeah. Um, I'm here. I'm here thinking because I think most of the questions, you have answered them and answered them so eloquently. But one of the things I wanted to say, when Teresa was talking about her master's program, at Cameron University, one of the things I wanted to say is that I think we really had some good professors back then, who was it wasn't about making the grade. It was also about connecting with students, like majority of them that I came across. And I think that was kind of helpful to a lot of maybe the students that was there. They saw our potential even when we didn't see it, and they pushed us to see it. So I think that, that's what came to my mind,
Four of us
the
have something in
professors.
common. The four of us all went to Cameron University.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
The four of us completed our masters at Cameron University. Okay, so
Yep.
Teresa,
I Shanti went to
yeah,
Cameron.
Shanti completed a master's at Cameron too. So Teresa, I want to ask you about creativity. How do you express creativity these days? I know you're a very creative lady. How do you express creativity? I know you can't find the time to model anymore, but what do you do for creativity? Do you cook still?
Yes, I still cook. I still go out in the yard and plant flowers. Um, Go to the library. I sit and read books. And I'm still very active, but after I had that sickness, it's something like it kind of slowed me down because I'm still thinking.
Okay.
I know I ate good. I know I did everything right, but how did this happen?
Mm-hmm.
So I slow down where I'm normally not that slow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always on the go. I try to be on the go. But then I've gotten where I used to walk my block at least 3 times a week or more. I would go to the park. I remember the time I walked from my home to the post office, which is maybe 10 blocks. But right now, it seems like I've slowed down, but you have to have that energy in your mind that I can do this. And I'm going to start doing it. And I'm going to go buy me a bicycle. And I'm going to
Oh,
get back on that bike.
oh, oh, you. Mm.
Yes, I have a picture when I was on a bicycle. I still can ride my bicycle.
Ooh.
And I would try really to skate, but the children on the skating, they're kind of rough. So I just stay on the sideline. We used to
Well, I
roller
am
skate all the
impressed.
time.
Well, I have a confession to make. I do not even know how to ride a bicycle, okay?
Oh my
Mhm.
goodness. Oh, that's fun.
I haven't ridden one since I was like 10 or 11, so.
Never
Oh,
once in my
wow.
life.
Mm.
Well, I'm just waiting. Maybe next week, week after next, I'm going to have me a bicycle and I'm going to ride my bicycle in the neighborhood.
Nice.
Wow. Wow. I'm impressed. Okay, so let's focus on the emotional side of life now. So life brings a time to weep and a time to laugh. Emotional resilience is a lifelong journey. What strategies have helped you stay emotionally balanced through life, through the life's ups and downs? How do you keep yourself from becoming depressed and extremely hopeless? What is it that gives you the hope that makes you feel keep that balance, emotional balance?
Well, I remember I raised a autistic, nonverbal great grandchild. In 2019, the system came, and I don't know who did it. They went up to the school, and next thing I knew, he was out of my home. And that was the worst thing that I could experience. And I don't know. The only way I got through that is every Sunday I couldn't find him. I didn't know where he was. And I rode up and down that highway every Sunday after I left church. And I just kept saying in my mind, this emotional thing is gonna stop. And I said, Lord, I'm not gonna let Satan, that bad spirit, take my mind like he did my mother. I said, I'm gonna hold on. I refuse to let my mind go because of this. And I don't know. I've always turned to God. He just always been there. Sometimes we don't think he is, but he's there. And that's what helped me with my emotion. And sometimes, it doesn't hurt to cry. And I have cried. And one day I just stood in my front room and I just screamed. It seemed like that just relieved me. And I just go through the house sometimes singing Christian songs or just singing.
Mhm.
And my social life is like, it used to be where I was in a lot of a lot of organization. I was in what is it, the American Association. They usually give scholarships at Cameron University. I was in the Eastern Star. I'm also a sorority sister. I'm in a lot of things, but I just walked away and I just haven't been active in it. It's something like just slowed me down, and I don't like being that way. I want to be active. And when at church, I was always in a choir. And then one day we got ready to go to choir rehearsal, and they said we wasn't going to have choir anymore. Since that day, I haven't sung in a choir in, I bet, 10 years.
Right. That
So,
sounds like it was very disappointing.
yes.
Okay.
So that's like emotional and my stability and everything. Also with my social life.
Okay.
I, I haven't been very active and I need to get it right. I do need to start doing it. Never, never, never get so slow where you'll go into depression. I think one time I was when this happened with my grandson.
Mm-hmm.
But I just kept fighting it. I kept fighting it. And I kept telling God, because see, my mother was going through the menopause and she actually had a nervous breakdown. And by me being the only child, that was hard. And I've had a lot of things like that to happen to me. And I asked God, he loves you. He really does. And Satan's always there to attack. And we just got to learn how to just put that shield of protection around us to keep him away from us. But you can go in depression without even knowing it. And then when you realize it, you got to fight back. You got to fight back. You cannot let that happen. That's not what God wants. That's a bad spirit.
Thank you for sharing that experience with us because it tells me that you know you're a human being, but you know how to cope with challenges. Because we all, as human beings, we will experience challenges, but you know how to cope, and you have some very good coping skills, and you're a very good example to us. So during this time of life, many people experience loneliness, and loneliness is viewed as a silent epidemic that many elderly people experience. So loneliness in older adults has been called the silent epidemic. Yet Ecclesiastes reminds us there's a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. How does loneliness impact the mental and physical health of older adults or of you personally? Have you ever found yourself experiencing extreme loneliness?
Well, not really. And maybe I can say not really because I have raised children from the age of 18 until 2019. And I never was alone. But as after he left, and then when I went to Houston, see, I've been in Houston for 3 years. And when I came back, I was in my house. I was kind of lonely, but I kept my mind going. I look at the Christian programs. I would do things to keep from, thinking about it. And that's the only way I can make it. You do get lonely. Now, right now, my grandson is at home with me, but he may not be there long because he's going back to Europe. But the thing about that, I will miss him and it will come kind of loneliness, but you got to stay strong. You just got to do something to keep yourself from falling into that depression stage. You really do. And the only key is trusting God and having faith and believing.
Okay, thank you for sharing. But I want to ask a more serious question now. At your age, you have lost a lot of friends and family, and I heard you recently had a loss in the family. How does late life grief affects you differently to how than when you were younger?
But with this loss that happened to us last Monday, it was different because I've lost my daughter, my granddaughter, a son, my mother, my father. It was different. It was like, wow, he was in the office waiting to be seen, and he had a heart attack. When they rushed him to the hospital, he died.
That's
So
sad.
that's unexpected. That's the type of death that's unexpected, and that is a shock. You just have to have Christ in your life. You really do to go through that. You really do. I mean, for 2 or 3 days, all this week, I have just been like, I would sit down on the couch and I just shake my head and I said, I don't believe this. I said, but God says we never know the time or the hour of the day. So that's how I handled that. And I'm still going through it. It's pretty hard. But yet and still I know that he's in a better place because our today world is terrible. So I'm sure he's at peace with God. But it hurts. It really does. Especially when it's unwanted. You never expected. Nothing is wrong with this person. He goes to the doctor and boom, just like that.
Yes.
So
So how do you grieve?
you grieve. Some people grieve, they cry. Some people they just go into depression stage.
Mhm.
Some people, which are alcoholics, and they get drunk, and some people they just do crazy things. Some people, but most of the people around me, we seem to be like the grief type people. We're quiet and we don't say too much.
Oh,
But
okay.
then every now and then we'll say something, or else if I'm sitting here like I'm speaking to you, I could just all of a sudden tears start rolling out of my eyes. But then after that, it'll clear up and go on past my mind. That's the way I've been doing it. That's the way I handle it. Because
What
I
would you
know
say?
that stress can kill you.
Yeah. So what would you say to other people who are aging and have had to deal with so many different loss? Because at as you age, you have a lot of debts you have to deal with, lots of family and friends. What do you say? What would you say to them to help them cope?
All I can say is you got to just read your Bible, and it talks to you about grief. It talks to you about these things will happen in life, and we're not here to stay. Our body is going to go back to the ground that God created us with. Our soul is going to go in heaven, and we have to just think, well, one day we're going to leave, but we don't know the time, so we can't just sit and worry about it and say, well, I'm going to die today. I'm going to do this. You got to keep on with life, keep on being happy, no matter, just got to be happy and pray and ask God to give you the strength and comfort and trust Him because He's always there. He will never leave us.
Well said. Okay, so I like to talk about Ecclesiastes a lot because Ecclesiastes notes a time to keep and a time to throw away, including our relationship with money. So, what lessons about financial peace or contentment have you learned over the years?
I know that financially is a hard struggle if you do not have the income to live on, or you taking a check by check every month. In other words, you're living by check, and you want to save, and you wonder why is it I'm having such a hard time saving this money. And you like paying, you get your check and it's already gone because you have these bills. And then you
Mm-hmm.
look up, everything is going up, and you're not making the money
Mm-hmm.
that these bills is going up to help support it. So then when you don't have that extra 10 or $20, when the light bill has gone up $10 more, 20, or when your insurance has gone up 30 or 40, $50, and they don't let you know until you get a letter, and you don't have that income, then that causes a problem. It really does. And some
Mm-hmm.
people, if we don't have that extra thousand in the bank, then we run into a problem. Sometimes people have to file bankruptcy. And I'm one that I had to. Simply reason because someone bought a car, found my credit card, and bought a car on me. And that was the only reason why I had. Because then I was getting behind in my bills. And this happened in 2014. We have so many scammers. We have so many people that don't want to work and they run around and hurt senior citizen or just a normal person, whether they're senior citizen or not.
Okay, so you were saying someone caused you to have to,
Stolen identity.
oh, they stole your identity. Oh my goodness, that's awful.
And I had been going through that. And they purchased a car.
Oh my gosh, that is so sad, but it happens, it's been happening a lot lately.
I know. Just like I received mail the other day saying you owe such and such, you owe $1,200. It's this people are just scammy. They're lazy, they're trifling. Instead of getting a job, we work for our money all our life when we
Mhm.
start working. and then they're going to run around and try to take everything from us. And
That is sad.
that's Satan attacking the American people. Then we have people that's over us, not helping us, trying to help us get better. So if you don't have that money in that bank, and all of a sudden everything starts shooting up, and then someone go into your account and take your money, that causes a financial depression.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm
But
really sorry.
I know that money is the root of evil according to how you use it. But this is where people are evil messing with people taking their money.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm doing good now, but it's just the idea how people can find your identity and just mess you up.
Mm-hmm. So what advice would you give to elderly people to help them protect themselves from the scammers that are out there? Do you have any suggestion?
Well, with this new technology, if you're not really, I mean, the way they're doing everything is technology, your bills, everything. But then when you give out, you pay your bills on the phone, and then you don't know what these people on the other end are doing.
Correct.
That's what's crazy. And some of the people that take people money are the ones that's working on the end. So the only thing I can say is that you need to go get some type of security. Go to your bank and make sure that everything is going to be okay. Get some kind of protection where they won't be able to get into your accounts and cause you to have a financial burden.
Okay.
But some of the banks, I think people in the bank take people's money too. A lot of them gotten fired for doing that. So,
Yeah.
but you have to be careful. You just got to make sure you're safe with your funds. Do like they did in the old days. Go get cans and bury it.
Or like some older people used to do, put it under their bed, their mattress.
Yeah.
It is important to put something under your mattress, as this can increase the overall durability of your bed.
Yeah, that is
Alexa,
funny.
stop.
Okay, so
You
Teresa,
can do that on Fire
is there
TV
any
or Prime Video.
final
Which would
words
you
you would
like?
like to share
Alexa,
with people
quit.
about what has helped you, what some of the happiest moments you've had? I know you had an amazing birthday party last year. Is there anything you would like to share about how you've been celebrating your life and what you've been doing with your time now?
Well, last year I celebrated 90 years, and it was a beautiful, beautiful dinner. Everyone wore long dresses, gowns. It was beautiful, beautiful. And when I walked in, I had my grandsons. They escort me in like I was a movie star. And it was just beautiful. And I walked in, the place was so decorated, pretty. And I looked over there, and teachers that I subbed for out in Cash and Lawton, and people that I hadn't seen in years were there. It was over 200 people there. So that was one of my great things. And then this year, we just did just a regular family dinner and birthday cake and then whatever. But that was so amazing. Oh, I just really enjoyed that. And I just danced all over the place. It was beautiful.
Wow. Um,
And then I have to say that I've lived to see a great grandchild graduate from high school. And then I had two grand graduate from high school. So I had three greats to graduate from high school and two grands.
that's a
And
blessing.
huh?
That's a blessing.
It sure is. And then one of them just entered to college, Texas, I think North Texas today, her first year. So God is good. He's let me see a lot of things where some grandparents don't get to see.
What are you most grateful for overall?
I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for health. I'm grateful that the Lord is letting me stay here this long. I'm grateful that I can walk, talk, I can cook for myself, I can get in and out of the tub myself. I can do these things that where someone wished they could do.
That's wonderful. So, as before we wrap up, I'm going to give Shanti and Marita their final chance, if anything they would like to say.
So I had a question. Is there anything in your life that you wish you could have changed or done better?
Yes. I wish that I had been able, I wasn't trained, so it was hard for me to do that. Is teach my children financially stability, to understand how to manage money, how to uh, buy property and whatever, but they've learned it through the years. They learned what I taught them that I knew how to do. Also, I don't think I would have married the husband that I was married to. If I could, there's no way I can take it back, but that was the most abusive marriage I ever witnessed. I was in one. I married a guy. He was in the military, and he committed suicide. That kind of got me, but he didn't want to live, so there was nothing anyone else could do about that. So those are some of the things that I experienced, and losing my first child to cancer twice. She had cancer twice, and losing my mother. So I don't know. That's the only thing I can think. It's a lot that I could think of, but those are the main things.
Mm.
Hello?
Yeah, we're still here.
Oh,
Can you hear us?
Marita,
Yeah.
I
Any words of wisdom? Any words of wisdom you want to impart before we leave?
I want to thank you for allowing me to be one of your models. I want to thank you for accepting me and being my friend and opening your arms to me. That goes for you and Sheila. And each time I would see you with your husband, I always wanted to hug you. And that's the same way with Sheila. Because you all accepted me, even though I was older than you were. But you let me participate. You didn't make any difference. You made me a better person.
Mhm.
And I thank you.
I still have videos of you. I was looking at a video the other day and I was like, there's Teresa. Yeah, I came across a video. Facebook reminded me. Yeah.
You did?
Yep. You were wearing a black dress, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was a black dress section. Yeah. Facebook reminded me a few days ago. Yep.
Really? I wish
Yeah.
I could see that.
I'll try and find it for you. But yeah.
That was one of the best moments in college.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to model in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you always made sure that I was invited to whatever function you had. Sheila did the same thing. I mean, you didn't treat me like I was up in age. You treated me as if I was your age, and I appreciate that, both of you.
But you didn't look like you were up in age, and you didn't act like you were up in age. You acted like you were a young spring chicken, very sharp, very intelligent, very motivated. You inspired us. You inspired us. Do you understand that?
Yes.
It was a pleasure. It's always been a pleasure to be around you and to see you. It's always a pleasure. And just knowing that you're still driving at 91, and I'm here hating driving. I do not like to drive.
Oh, I'm thinking about going to Kansas City in the next month.
Well, I do hope that you continue shining and that you'll continue to be blessed. Your brains will continue being healthy and strength. You can get all the health and strength, and you can continue making a positive impact on your family and the people at your church and everybody you touch with. that you will continue making a positive impact on the lives of everybody you meet. You've been doing that for 91 years. Teresa, you've had so many experiences. You've lived through many times of joy, times of struggle. You've reinvented the wheels. As we wrap up, one final question. If you could share one final piece of wisdom with the younger generation about aging gracefully, embracing time for every purpose under heaven, what would that final piece of advice you would give?
One thing is, you treat everyone the way that you like to be treated. And keep a smile on your face and read your Bible, trust God, and believe, and just exercise. Do the things to be happy. If you're not happy, if something happened that you don't want to be happy, just walk the block. If things are not going right with the house, walk around the block. When you come back, I see it takes two to argue, and it takes, and it's better to one walk away than the other one. You both stand there and you end up there's a terrible disagreement. So to keep peace of mind and not stress out, you just got to trust God. You really have. You got to believe. You got to pray. And anytime you think somebody's getting ready to attack you, you just say, oh God, please, please. I don't want this. Satan, you're a lie. You got to back off. I'll rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ.
Good. I appreciate that. Well said. Okay, so Teresa, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to grace us with this reflection on your vibrant life. You are a breath of fresh air. I really appreciate it. I hope you can tell how excited and how happy we are all here. All of us, we are all excited. And I'm not lying. You can tell we're all excited to be
I
graced
am
with your
too,
presence.
Justice. I am too. It's so good to see you all. It really is. I miss you. I miss both of you.
I
And I
miss you
hope that
too.
I hope your life will be successful and happy.
Thank you. And I wish you
Thank you.
91 more years of health and happiness.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Shanti, your final words before we wrap up?
It was great to meet you.
Hello.
It was great to meet you.
Oh, it's nice to meet you. You were awful quiet. My goodness.
I was just listening. I like listening.
Well, I hope you have a good the rest of the year. It's nice meeting you. I hope I see you again.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Be
you will.
careful. Be
Okay.
careful.
Marita, your final words?
Mm, what could I say? It was a good it was great. The conversation was good, and hopefully we can do it again.
Okay. What were you saying, Teresa?
I was saying thank you. I thank you for, just like I said, I thank you for accepting me in your life, both of you. And tell your husbands I say hello.
You're welcome.
You're
Okay.
welcome. Goodbye. I would like to say a huge thank you to our wise and wonderful guest, my 91-year-old friend, Teresa Duncan, for sharing your incredible journey with us today. Your perspective is a living testament to the truth that aging is not just about growing older. It's about growing deeper in purpose, joy, and faith. And to our distinguished experts, the Mental Health Avengers, thank you very much for lending your voices to this vital conversation. Your insights on resilience, brain health, and emotional well-being have truly equipped us to challenge the myths of aging. To our listeners, remember, as Ecclesiastes says, there's a time for everything under the sun. We all agree that there's a time to learn, to lean on community, and to celebrate the gift of long life. this episode inspired you, please share it with someone who needs a fresh vision for aging. And remember, log on to unravelred.com to join the conversation where we'll continue unraveling relationships, emotions, and the beautiful complexities of human desire. Because life isn't just about fight, flight, or freeze, it's about finding your fabulous. And as we close, let's remember, aging isn't about counting the years. It's about making the years count. Until next time, keep embracing the extraordinary in every chapter of your life.